Hello, welcome back to Bald and Board Games. I'm Bald.
I'm bored.
We're bringing you a review of Vinhos by Lacerda.
Yeah, this is one of the 8 games we played earlier in 2024. Check out all those playthroughs and how-tos. But we're now going through ratings of all of them based on our normal category set of 5. And kind of just walking through what we think of the games and check out our rankings video to show which ones are where in our 1 through 8.
Yes. As a reminder, the 5 categories we are doing these reviews on are rulebook, gameplay, components, design, and storage. And then, of course, we get an overall average. We're going to go through this individually, Bald scores, board scores. And then we're going to get the average of both of those to get the official Bald and board scores for Vinhos. And you'll find out at the end of the video if this is a certified must play or a certified don't play. We shall see. All right, first up, rulebook.
Yes. So I'm going to sound like a broken record with this one. Not all of them are this, but this I also give a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Main reason for this, and this is the first game where it really mattered, is you have a lot of stuff on this game board, as you can see. Dead center, you have a bunch of things you can do. They are very well described in this rulebook. There's pictures and everything.
Yep.
On top of that, we have our first very well laid out player aid.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a player aid with 9 spots, matching the 9 spots perfectly in order right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I can easily be looking at the player aid and be like, oh, I know what I want to do next turn because it's all right here. So not only do they lay a lot of stuff out on the board, and there is good descriptions in some of the areas, but also they give you a perfect player aid that gives you everything you need.
Yep, I'd agree. I give it a 5 also. For a lot of the same reasons I've given every other Vital Lacerda rulebook so far a 5 is everything is laid out super neat, very easy to understand. And another reason why it's even more important for this game, specifically this version of it, is you have 2 different games in this box. You have the 2010 Reserve Edition, and you have the 2016 Special Vintage Edition. So we are doing the newer edition that has the bank system added in there. And then you also have a reference book for the contents in these boxes, which helps you with setup and helps you with storage. So everything went into this rating for a 5. The player aid as well, to Steve's point, is super clear, to the point, easy to find out what you're doing. We had that thing out constantly when we were playing this game to just make sure we were doing things correctly. Yeah.
All right. So if you watched our first 2 videos, we did Bot Factory and CO2, and our rankings were mostly similar across the board in all 5 categories. There wasn't really that much variance. There is going to be a lot of variance in this one based on how everything lays out. But what did you give gameplay?
Gameplay, I gave a 3.5. So the reason why I gave gameplay a 3.5 is due to some confusion with the gameplay. We played this wrong when we played it. And a lot of it's this track that's here. Like, we messed up one portion of this track while playing, which was either the contest thing, I think, happens at the end of every single round. We did it like at the end of this one.
Yes.
Initially. And so that was needlessly confusing. I feel like it could have been clearer. I don't think that's a us being dumb thing. Then like this section up here was kind of clunky and difficult to really do anything with. Like, if you wanted to do anything up here, you had to really sacrifice anything else that you're doing. Funny enough, the one thing that I actually loved about the 2 things I loved about this, right, were the notes that came into play over here for the competition. And I love this bank system, which a lot of people found needlessly complicated, but I liked being able to save up money and then being able to raise this track here. I forget exactly what that was for. That was investments, I think, right? Like, you're putting it into the stock of some sort. And I'd be able to do that to try and generate income later on. I liked this balance. I liked being able to sell or ship things. I thought this whole section was the strongest part right here of the actual game. I really, really liked that.
Yeah. So my gameplay ranking was a 4.5. So not perfect, but overall, I do like the variability. So I do agree with Nick that this got a little complex on how we understood it, that during every one of these purple wine phases is when you could go up here and deal with that wine in these influencers or whatever they're called, sommeliers. But the main thing I love about it and why it's such a high ranking is how many things you can focus on.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go and just only focus on the fair and get victory points. Or you can, as Nick mentioned, you can go to shipping and you get victory points here. And some of them are mid-game, some are end-game.
Yep.
So I do like that, where I can just take a quick lead here mid-game and not have to worry about it later. Or focus all on end-game scoring, which Nick and I love games where it's like all end-game scoring because you never know who's going to win. I do also love, in the gameplay of this, you have all of these different locations throughout Eastern Europe, or Western Europe. Nope.
Eastern?
No, Western.
So the east side of you.
This is the west side of Europe.
My goodness, you're right.
This is the west side.
Christ.
Oh, here it was the east, but I was like, let's flip this west. Western Europe, where each of these regions have different benefits to the wine you have. So you can see different symbols along here. I really love that. And there's also where you close off 2 of them in a 2-person game. So every game has a little bit of variance where you don't know which 2 are going to be locked down. So your strategy initially might not be available.
Yeah.
So I do love that.
All right.
Nice.
Ben, so components. I keep wanting to say composition because I've written down as comp on my paper.
I have a comp too. Oh, you wrote it down.
Yeah. So components.
So components, I give a 5. Mostly because how the game works, it does not require complicated components. So right here is one of the wines that would be in Vinhos here. And this one's a red wine. There could be a white top. So easily distinguishable if it's a red or white based on the top of the thing. It gives you some information on the side as well as the same picture of what the benefit is. It's that simple. It has a picture kind of a vineyard in the background. Just take another one here. Let's grab another picture. Same vineyard, but the symbol is different and where it's at. I think the simplicity benefited it in these components. I don't see the need for a bunch of minis or anything else in the game. The money, or not the money, the wine rankings here that you would put on your vineyard, simple cardboard, but that's all you needed. You just needed to know what number it was.
Yep.
So to me, 4.5. I got a 5 actually.
Give it a 5. All right. I give the components a 4. So a lot of like just cardboard things, very basic, nothing super over the top or super creative. We'll put it up to a 4 for me are these barrels, really. It's that you have these really nice barrels to signify your wines that you're shipping or that you're selling. That is the most creative thing that they did with this game in regard to components. Everything else is, again, it's very well made. The wooden structures. These bottles we have in here are specifically deluxe items, so I didn't rate it based on this because those are deluxe components that were bought. But typically you just had, regular flat wooden markers with stickers that went on these areas. So the main thing that was in the base that I really like are these barrels. These put it at that 4 for me. But nothing beyond that was special in my eyes.
All right.
Design.
So the look of everything.
For design, I also gave it a 4. So Vital, in his later games, and probably mainly his artist, who we should call out, who uses every time.
Ego Griffin?
No.
Oh, the actual artist, not the
actual artist. I'm sorry, let me find it. I know it's on.
Ian O'Toole.
Yes, Ian O'Toole. His artist is spectacular at getting games in theme artistically. So I love the etched vineyard look right here. And with this area and here. After that, it's, again, just super simple, which is okay. And I think the reason why is because there is so much going on the board. And the amount of everything on the board is what really docked it on this one for me. There is so much going on. It can look intimidating. It can be confusing as to where you're doing stuff or what you're doing. There could have been potentially a better separator of the different items and when you do them to help us avoid the confusion like we had, where at the end of each of
That's
these
true.
cycles, we end up here. Why are these so far apart? And why is, I mean, I understand like this is here because of these 3 areas, but why couldn't this
Or at least have
be
like
up here?
that symbol up here to say
Something
that
like that. So is that those little things that knocked that 1 point off. Other than that, the actual design of everything, the look of it, the art of it is spectacular and on theme. I absolutely love it.
So this whole docking of this thing, I kind of threw right in my gameplay. I didn't put it specifically into design, although I guess it could be in design as well.
Yeah.
I gave design a 5. To your point, beautiful artwork, nice vibrant colors of, oh, here's wine again. Western Europe. You can see the different regions, and they're all named accordingly. I do love the design of kind of the rectangular setups, where here's the cards, and it's a nice black rectangular box dividing everything. So they're not like these two, like, oh, they could be merged together, but they're not. There's a nice thick line there that shows these are 2 separate things to do. The one thing that is a little clunky, but I didn't really dock it, is the design out here of the number track, but it kind of just fits the color scheme of the game. So in any other game, I'd be like, this looks like my great-grandmother's sofa cushions. But here, it kind of worked because this is kind of that vintage. Again, this is the vintage side. So the other side does look a little differently in some of the aspects, but the vintage side, it kind of vibes with the flow.
Yep. Yeah, it actually says here too, it's a 2010 reserve. So I apologize, I misspoke earlier. We played the 2010 version, which is the original version, which is the more complicated version. We did not do the newer 2016 one because that's where they simplified down.
That's the other the bank, yeah.
Yep. So design right there, great. Small, says it's on the wine, marvelous. What's funny about your whole thing here, the design.
Ian O'Toole. I'm assuming that's his signature.
Oh yeah,
maybe. I don't
know. This separation is there, but you and I both, for a moment, forgot that this was part of this whole area, like these 4 up here, because for whatever reason this seemed like referenced and entirely separate.
Yeah.
So we were only like selling down here. Okay. Storage.
Yeah. So storage, last category here.
That's this
big old box. I gave a 4.5.
All
right. Overall, there's much better Vitale Lacerda games and how they built their storage, but there's worse as well. I know Nick hates plastic baggies, but I think in this game, it's fine for the things that were in the bags. So all the numbers are in the bags. They didn't really need separate little numbered slots or anything like that. These cards, tokens here that would be in this section of the board just go into 2 lengths. I do like how each of these gets separated out for your different regions and which wines are there. I know Nick's going to dock that everything else is just kind of thrown into a pile here. But
sure, especially now.
To me, I'm like, for this game, to me, it didn't matter because how much variety is. So if I pull both of these out, I distinctly know these are 2 different things because of the color schemes. Where there's a lot of other games where you pull them both out and you're like, oh, I need to go find a number on it, number 1 or letter A to know like it goes in this pile versus that pile. Here, everything looks so different, so it's quick and easy to separate.
I gave storage a 2.5.
Yep.
Pretty much the reason that he says. So, plastic bags, no. Especially here, like all of these guys, like I get it, but if you're already taking the time to like do something like this, where each of these are separated and this thing comes out, which has more underneath it, take the time to do something more with this or with your workers, your houses, then yes, this here in the middle bugs the hell out of me. It wouldn't bug me if these were all the same type of tile. But the fact that like literally we have to put all these different types of tiles in here because there's no other spot for them is super annoying. This is okay. These, again, I'm not a huge fan of the money just being all like whatever, but fine. The fact that our individual like character things, after seeing the other games he's done that don't pop out, these ones don't pop out. This is all one big insert. Again, it's kind of annoying to me. So a lot got docked here. And again, it's 2.5, not less, because there are some areas where they did the separation out. So like these and this here. And at least having some separation for the pieces. But 2.5 for me there.
All
All
right.
right.
And
Final rating, averaging all of those
yeah.
for Vinhos, for myself, is a 3.5. So, game's beautiful. The game is fun to play, more importantly. It's not one that's overly difficult to learn, but it can be difficult to keep track of when you do what. Like I said, we had the reference book out constantly while we were playing this game, which is not necessarily a good thing. It's a good thing that it's easy to reference, but the fact that we had to look at it constantly meant that there just wasn't something that was super clear in the process and order of things. So between that, the storage, dropped it down to that 3.5 overall for me.
So mine overall was higher, sitting at a 4.5. I said, I do agree. Beautiful game. I personally, again, love the gameplay. I love the theme of this game. As I mentioned in our rankings video, I love Distilled. This has similarities to that, where you're creating wine and you got to sell the wine or put it to a fair or whatnot. So I love those aspects. So that's why my rule book and gameplay are very high in this game. Storage got knocked a little bit, but to me, at least in my view, nothing was too substantially a problem. I do agree we did look at this a lot, but I tend to do that for every game.
That's true.
Where I just kind of like try and figure out every possible option. So overall, sit at 4.5.
Alrighty. So now we're going to go through our Bald and Board game rankings for each category, which is based on the average between our two scores. So for rulebook, we both ranked it a 5, so that is a 5. For gameplay, I rated it a 3.5. Board rated a 4.5. So that puts us at a 4 for the gameplay. For components, I rated a 4. Board rated 5. That puts us at a 4.5 for those components. For design, again, 4 from me, 5 from you, so 4.5 for the design. For the storage, 2.5 on my side, 4.5 on your side, so that put us at a 3.5 for storage. Then overall, my 3.5 and your 4.5 means that this game is a 4. So, Vinhos by Lacerda is officially a Bald and Board Games certified must play.
Yes, and that's our 3rd out of 3.
Yeah, definitely a fun game to get to the table with friends. Again, for your wine lovers, they will absolutely love this. Make sure you get the deluxe edition. If you do, that's upside down. This is casting quite the shadow, so I put it down when we were talking. But get the deluxe edition. That way you have the 2016 portion of it, because that 2016 side is more simplified than the 2010 side, which we have not played yet. So this is purely a ranking for the reserved 2010 version of Vinhos.
Yep.
Any final words about Vinhos?
No, I would definitely get this back out. And
So
this was one of the
first
ones that we very distinctly rated differently, especially in our rankings. So check out our rankings video to see where we both put these in terms of the 8 we played. This one is, I think, the biggest gap.
I think so. Yep. I was expecting it to be so when I saw my final one, and you were talking about how you loved it. So, yeah. Alrighty. Well, thank you for joining us here at Bald and Board Games, where we reviewed Vinhos by Lacerda. I'm Bald.
On board.
Get yourself some wine.